All right, welcome everybody to Thirsty Thursday number 51 with our guest Scotty Baer. He actually does exist. He's going to go get his beverage right now as we're speaking. But really excited to have him on. I had the privilege of working with Scotty for several years in Ocean City. And actually, even before that, I had the opportunity to work with him as a instructor at the Maryland Council of Fire Rescue Academies, where he represented Annapolis City. So as soon as Scotty gets back here in the frame, we're going to get him to introduce himself, and we're going to kick off the show. Unfortunately, Bobby can't join us tonight. He's got a family obligation. Mike's going to be jumping on here in a little bit. He's at work. And then our boy Ben, just in case he might be watching, I'm not going to spoil the surprise, but he's kind of turning the big 4-0 this weekend. So he's en route to his 40th birthday party of sorts as we speak. So he won't be able to jump on with us tonight, unfortunately, but we wish him a happy birthday and enjoy 40, brother. That's halfway to 80. So with that, kind of circling back, we're going to talk a little bit about passion for the fire service tonight, and not to throw Scotty under the bus or steal his thunder, but he's been in the fire service for quite a while now, and he's kind of recycled himself, if you will. He's started over and over again, where he worked a full career at the city of Annapolis, and then certainly worked in Ocean City for a while, and then started again with another county / metropolitan department, which to me is just either he's a glutton for punishment or he just really enjoys the fire service, which I think the latter is it. And if you kind of look in the background there of his frame, you certainly see some, but not all, of the memorabilia that's captured a decent part of his career. And one thing I'll say about Scotty, one of many things, there he is, as one handsome individual. There you go. Is he's always had the same energy and passion ever since I've known him. So Scotty, I didn't steal too much of your thunder. I just gave a little briefing on you, but if you want to go ahead and do the intro on yourself, tell us a little bit about your background, where you've been, where you are, where you're going, and then you and I'll get in the conversation until Mike gets on.
We know where I'm going. Down. That's why we wear turnout gear. Yeah, most people know me that are local. I'm Scott Baer. I'm retired from Annapolis City. My dad was a captain in Annapolis. He retired as a captain. I retired as a battalion chief, and my kid is working tonight. They might be roasting me right now in the station, and he has 14 years in, and he drives at Rescue 38 and Squad 38, or Rescue 38 and Engine 38 in Annapolis. So we're the first third-generation family in Annapolis Fire Department. I think Dougie Romali, the chief there, we've been friends my whole life. He now has a son there with him, and now they have 3 or 4 generations. Actually, they have 3 generations with the career department, and then their granddad, Fritz Wolford, was a chief there, assistant chief with the Rescue Hose Company or whatever, and so they kind of have 4 generations almost, really. But about me, it's not that great. I started out as a volunteer in February of 1982 at the Independent Fire Company down on Dugal Gloucester Street in Annapolis. It was a single engine company. Most of the time, it had one career person there that drove the fire engine. My dad was a lieutenant there. He had to drive the fire engine, be the lieutenant, and be the firefighter. That just is the way it was back in the 70s and 60s, 70s, and the early 80s. I went to Eastport because we just didn't get enough runs at Independent, which was 37 back then. They're disbanded now. So I went to 36 and volunteered there until I got hired in 85. July of 85, I got hired. I went through the Anne Arundel County Fire Academy, class number 21. And that was fun. That was a good time. I was 19. That was pretty cool. And I've always wanted to be a firefighter. My dad was on 24/24s. He was either coming or going. We had to wait for Santa Claus. We had to wait for him to get home, or we had to get up real early and do the Christmas thing. So um, I'm jumping all over the place. Uh, I I rose up through the ranks, lieutenant, captain. I only ever wanted to be a lieutenant. I wanted to be a lieutenant for a pretty childish reason because I just didn't want to stand outside on the pump panel or sit in the engine as a driver. I wanted to go inside and and fight fire. And then I had a little bit of say of how we did things as far as tactics and stuff goes when we arrived as a lieutenant. I like being a lieutenant a lot. Captain and battalion chief, um, that was more just about money. I like it was cool. Status thing with the battalion chief was okay, but it's no fun being by yourself in the buggy. Um, you're on your own basically, so you don't have yeah, you have a shift, but you don't have your crew like you used to. You're not a part. You almost feel like maybe you're not a part of the crew anymore. So um and I like being a part of the crew. That's why I'm still working. I after I retired. I went through and did my thing with Annapolis and retired in July 1st of 2010. Went to Ocean City with Trevor. Um, got the job. They put me through a little physical agility thing to get the job. And that was in like January or February of 11. So I got the job then. I've taught for Mifry my whole career, like 25 years. So I'd been an instructor, and departmentally I'd been teaching um, all our ladder stuff, SCBA stuff. So um, I was heavily involved in that, trying to pass on some knowledge maybe and some skills that I had learned from some of the old guys that were around that are mostly gone now. Most of them are gone. Um, so Ocean City had me be an instructor as a firefighter. I was down there teaching with Trevor and stuff. That was fun. Ocean City has a good group of people. Um, they their paramedics are really good. Their paramedic program, and with Ocean City, I think it's changed now, but it was you had to be a paramedic to be a full time firefighter, which isn't a bad thing. They're very low staffed. They probably still are. You have 24-story buildings down there, and you're running with an assignment of maybe 9 people, and you hope the volunteers will show up, which they did. Volunteers showed up pretty. They posted pretty good down in those city, so they had some pretty decent volunteers and everything. While I was with Ocean City, I did 5 years there total. The last 2 years, I went to Salisbury and got a full time job with them, and I did 2 years there. That was cut short because I was hired under a grant, a safer grant. And when that happened, they had to bump me back to part time. Well, I wanted another pension. Christ, I was only 44 years old when I retired from Annapolis. So I had a lot left in me. I still do. I don't know how, but I still do. Um, so I ended up being bumped back to part time, and Anne Arundel just happened to be hiring laterals again and stuff. And I was already a part of their system before. Um, but they did make me go back through a fire school. And that was class number 54, Anne Arundel County class number 54. So a lot of good guys in that group. The young ones, though, I don't know. They didn't have the heart, man. A 50-year-old. I was 49 when I got the job. I turned 50 in the fire academy, and I definitely should not be able to out push up a 19 or 20-year-old. I don't know what's gotten into these guys, but whatever. It was a good group of guys. We busted balls in the locker room. I loved it. It keeps you young. It made me feel young and stuff. So I like hanging out with the guys. A lot of people ask, how do you do it? How do you come from? How do you come from? Geez, I don't even know how to do that. my kid's calling me. So my other kid's calling me. He's in the Navy, and I called him earlier. I'll get back with him. He's probably trying to watch this, I guess. He's on a destroyer down in Florida, and he's a damage controlman, so he's going to be a firefighter also once he gets out of the Navy. Where was it, Trevor?
No, you're talking about essentially the bookends where you started out in Anne Arundel County Fire Academy for Annapolis, went back in as a 50-year-old, and then you had the two in between with Salisbury and Ocean City. But you're talking about you're not being able or shouldn't be able to out push up or outwork a 19-year-old.
Yeah, definitely not. I'm not in the greatest shape. I mean, I'd get by though. But so yeah, I went through class 54, and that was fun. So people ask, that's where I was going. People ask me all the time, how do you do it? How do you go from being a battalion chief back to being a firefighter? Well, let me tell you something. Just because you have rank and you've risen up through the ranks and you become a captain, battalion chief, whatever you are, you're still a person. You're still the same person. So I'm no better than the next dude, the lowest person. And honestly, the lower the people are, probably the more important they really are. They're the ones that are putting their feet on the ground. They're eating carpet. They're going down these hallways with fire blowing over their heads, and they're going after the people's the citizens' children and stuff to get them out of these burning houses and stuff. So they're the important ones, really. But it was easy. I probably had a hand in teaching half the people that I am in that are in charge of me now, somewhere along the line. And I have total faith in them. They may be my kids' age or whatever. I have no problem listening to them, and they do an excellent job there. With Annapolis, Anne Arundel, Ocean City, all the young people are doing great. I probably wouldn't even be here. A normal person would not be working still. I'd probably be retired doing something stupid, being a Walmart greeter or something. But luckily, I'm in good enough shape to still be able to do the job, and I like it. But the young ones do a great job, and I like working for them. So I work at the busiest company, or one of the busiest companies. We bounce back and forth, but I work in Glen Burnie. I choose to work in Glen Burnie. I love it. I asked to be there, and I was fortunate enough they let me be there. But we're really busy. I think 26 is stationed, the entire station, which is an engine, a truck, and a medic. We ran like 6,000 some calls last year, like 62 or 6,300. It's quite a few calls. I get my ass whipped on the medic unit. I did get a couple hours sleep last night. I was very lucky, but I got off this morning. I have a part-time job at a 400-acre farm. I had to go feed the sheep, and I had to go bush hog. So I've been bush hogging all day, walking behind this mower. So I'm a little tired, but I just go. I like doing it. I like doing the job. I just like staying busy and stuff. I hunt and fish a lot, pretty much every day. But hunting season ended the other day, so that's all pretty much over with. So 26, I absolutely love 26. I've been fortunate enough to work with really good people there. The first battalion up there is very aggressive. We have a lot of fire. Well, I don't know that we have any more fires in the rest of the place, but call volume is definitely different. The population is unbelievable up there. It's just people are just crammed in Glen Burnie and the Baltimore, the outskirts of Baltimore. It's crazy. I would never want to live there. Amongst that's why I live over here in Denton in the country. I can't do the city thing. I liked Annapolis City when I lived there, but that's too much for me now. I don't want to be over there. Yeah, we run some calls. I've had some bad calls. We've had a lot of bad calls there. You get you get reps for sure, lots of reps. It's unbelievable. Um, and at 35, shoot, when I was on 35's engine, I thought we were busy. We were running 20 some hundred calls a year, but it's a little bit different. Um, I love my career in Annapolis. I love Annapolis City. That's where my roots are. Um, and I loved working for Annapolis City. That's where my family's at. That I did it because my father did it. So um, I'm guessing, my one son did it because I did it, and the other one's probably going to do it because his mom did it. Also, my second son's mom did it. We worked together on my crew, and she was the EMS officer there at the time when I retired. But um, it's definitely in the family. It's definitely in the family. My father used to tell stories about being a house cat, which is a young kid, a little kid. He lived in South Baltimore, and Six Truck used to be around the corner. I think it was Austin Street and Hanover Street, I think was the location. I can't remember for sure. It's moved now. Six Truck's somewhere else. But he was a house cat there, and he used to tell me the story that he would go pick up the guy's shoes when they went out on a box assignment. He would go there and pick up their shoes and put them back on their racks and stuff, getting them off the floor so they didn't run them over when they came back into the station and stuff. And he said there were times that somebody didn't return to get their shoes. So it's a dangerous job. I mean, they proved it, last January, they proved that. Baltimore did when we lost those three. So, but it's still, I don't choose to sit at a desk. I do not want to sit at a desk. I love the action. And I get, we all probably like the danger. I think there's something to be said for that. I think we just like that risk a little bit. I don't think we're like kamikaze pilots, but it's a fun job, and we're helping people, and that's the main thing. I think we all like to help people when it really comes down to it. As much as I hate people in the left-hand lane in my way when I'm going to work, I still like helping these idiots. So, I don't know what else you want to know, Trevor. I don't even know where I'm at.
That's what it's all about, my brother. It's great catching up with you. That's one of the things that I think when I first met you, Scott, you were working in Annapolis City. I believe you were captain then, and then not too long after that, were a battalion chief, and we were both representing our departments at the Council of Academies meetings, and that's what I always thought was just hysterical. And I had the blessing and the opportunity to actually work with you in Ocean City, and just you always had that same energy when you came to work, and you were always funny, but you kept yourself out of being, chapters or paragraphs 7 through 13 of the HR manual, but you always cut it really close to that line. And that was one of the best things, is that, you came to work with that energy, that energy being a fireman. And just real quick, I'll tell you this, I'm fortunate in my department now where I still get to be operational. And that's the best part of the job, like you said, riding a desk and, the whole policy procedure, administrative stuff. It's a necessary evil, but my buggy was out of service the other morning, and we got tapped out for we saw it. We saw a palm tran bus going past us, making a hell of a noise and smoke rolling out the back. It's like, hey guys, let's go ahead and follow that bus because we're getting ready to get called out in a second. And grab my gear because my buggy's out of service. And, of course, the guy riding the right front seats, hey, chief, come up here. I'm like, nope. I rode fourth on the engine, man. Best freaking day of the week. Absolute best. And he had it. That they didn't need me for that, but I got to play fireman. It was great. It was just the best freaking day of the whole week. So cool. and you've had the opportunity to, like, say you've started, and you've had full, essentially full careers. And I think that having the heart of a fireman is what it's all about. Regardless of what glitter shit you have on your collar, what color your front piece, your helmet is, it's just being able to be part of that. Like you said with your dad, starting out as a house cat, I mean, you can't get more humble than picking up guys' shoes. And at the same time, is showing that respect and also understanding what it means when that set of shoes doesn't get picked up at the end of the shift. And that's a pretty weighty thing, and that's what's passed along. And it's hard to believe. I think you used to call him Spanky. That he's 14 years in Annapolis already.
Yeah, yeah, he's
Good.
34 years old. Yeah.
Good God. Okay, you're getting like way old. But what my question for you is like, and I had the privilege of not only working with you but actually instructing with you when we spent some time in Ocean City. But what got you interested in the instructional end of things? I mean, you talked a little bit about it, wanting to pass some things along, but what struck you to say, hey, I want to be an instructor? Because you spent a lot of time as a Fear the Turtle, one of the MIFRE instructors. We chewed a lot of dirt on that end, but also we're able to do some Ocean City stuff. So what got you into that?
I was going to tell you overtime, but I don't think it really was overtime. I honestly, I sort of, I knew my job back then. I don't think, I definitely am not as good as I once was. That's for sure. But I thought I could pass along stuff to people. I did like showing people how to do things. Like I love ground ladders. I don't know why. They're ridiculous. I should be broken half by now. But I just liked teaching people how to use the equipment and pass on. Really, if you have any gumption, it's important for you to pass on stuff to these other people, the people that are coming in, the newer people and stuff. You want to pass that knowledge on. You don't want to withhold it. Way back when, I remember guys, they were probably my dad's age and older. They would tell you everything almost, but they would withhold stuff because they were afraid you were going to take their job. Well, I always told these people, I said, Jesus Christ, I'm not going to take your friggin' job. You're going to get my job. As soon as I'm done with it, you're going to get it. So that's pretty dumb to worry about that. But you want to train them to replace you. My dad started the modern day fire investigation unit that we have now. It's technology, obviously, has made it even better now. But bombs and all that, the bomb tech stuff and all that. But that was probably back in 1974 when they got that up and running, and he worked with another guy named George Ellis. George is still around, and they were both captains at the time. And then George became a battalion chief later on. But my dad took care of the investigation side of the fire marshal's office, and George took care of the inspection side. George was like phenomenal at reading plans and stuff. You want me to hold up?
Hey, Scotty.
Hey, how are you?
Good, man. Sorry for being late, guys.
Okay. Do you want to say
juggling act?
You want me to keep going or?
Yeah, keep on rolling, man.
Okay, all right.
I was listening. You just couldn't see me.
Well, I got friggin' Alzheimer's, I think, so I don't want to I'll get off. Yeah.
Just pop an intercept. You'll be okay. Keep going.
Yeah, right. So my dad was obviously he was the investigator. He did the investigations, and then George Ellis did the inspections portions. And like I said, George was unbelievable at like reading plans for building construction and stuff and all that stuff. So, but those guys were so good at their jobs, if they didn't pass on some of that, pass on some of that knowledge to the people that are going to take their jobs, geez, the department would have been crippled almost. And it sort of was. They had some other guys come in. I think Smiley Bowes came in and did some plans, reviews, and stuff, and they learned it. Life goes on. It's not even a speed bump. When you leave, they didn't even give a shit when I left. It didn't even no bump at all. I just like flatline, man, asystole. So yeah, As far as being an instructor though, you really should pass on the knowledge and try to teach the guys that. And I wasn't a very good instructor. I didn't flow that well. I wasn't the most intelligent guy, but I did know a lot of just bare bones skills, ropes and knots, and I did do a lot of special operations stuff. So I knew back then I knew high angle a little bit, and some of the other stuff. We got into hazmat. 9/11 just totally turned everything around. So we ended up getting into hazmat in Annapolis. We didn't do that prior to 9/11, and good God, that was a mess. We bought all kinds of stuff, had grants buying stuff, all these monitors. It was unbelievable. And I learned a lot. One of the best schools I had ever gone to. I've been to a few schools around the country, not many, but a couple. But probably the best, the one that made the most impact on me, I think, was Virginia Beach's Structural Collapse School. It was unbelievable. A lot of good instructors from across the nation. Matter of fact, one girl was I remember her because she was really pretty. She was a captain in, I think it was Minneapolis, Minnesota, and I believe they had a big bridge collapse back a few years. It might have been 10 years ago or something, 15 years ago. It was probably 15 years ago. Well, I saw her on TV. She ended up being one of the divers that was instrumental in doing a lot of the stuff. I guess there were some rescues and stuff. I don't really remember it, but I remember she was a part of that. She was teaching us. She had a lot of good stuff to teach us down at the Structural Collapse School. So they get some good people from all across the country coming in there. And I worked, well, like when I did, we were like the second string. It kind of sucked, but we Maryland Task Force 2, Baltimore City headed that up, and then the 7 jurisdictions in the Central Maryland hazmat group or whatever. We all did that USAR thing. They picked a few people, and I got lucky enough to be on that. So that's why I went to Structural Collapse School, because I was working with those guys. I met a lot of good guys from Baltimore City. Half of them probably aren't there now, but a lot of cool guys there and stuff. So that's why I became an instructor, though. I think just to help our guys out, help people out. And the money, Annapolis City doesn't get overtime like Anne Arundel County does. We just don't. They just don't have the vacancies and stuff to they don't to work the overtime. So we didn't get. So when there was overtime, I jumped on it. I was always trying to work, and the instructor stuff definitely helped that out. So. Go ahead.
And Scotty, that's one of the things, and I'll say this about Mike also, is that we're not always trying to teach to our successes, and I've been here, I've done this, here's my credential, here's this, but you're not afraid to tell somebody where you fucked up in your career too, and use those as teaching moments. And I think that you've always been very visceral about that, and that's what sets some of the instructors aside, because you have the ones that they can read a textbook or a manual and they can regurgitate it word by word, line by line, ace the test 110%, but they can't translate it from their head to their hands, or they can't pass it along to somebody else, and they want to be the most important or the smartest man or woman in the room. Whereas you can say, hey, here's my experience, here's what I know, here's what I don't know. If you can show me another way to do it, and I can tell you I've found 16 ways to screw this up and about 2 ways to do it really well. I'm going to teach you all 18 ways, and you kind of figure it out and make it better for yourself. And that's something that's, I think, common amongst you and Mike with teaching, is that you're not afraid to be vulnerable or say, hey, I don't have all the answers. I don't.
No, I'm definitely a fucktard. I know way less than I actually know. I can tell you that. Jesus.
Yeah, but you look good doing it, brother.
Yes, as long as you look cool doing it, you got it dicked, man.
What are your thoughts on that, Michael Wood?
Come on, Mike, throw something at us. And I'm putting it on mute. I want to hear what's going on back there. Is there moaning in the background or anything?
I shut her down. Yeah, I had to kill it all, man. I got a little bit of everything going on here.
And one quick thing, Scotty, we'll go with you feeding the sheep in Denton. You're feeding the sheep. We'll go with that. We'll stick with that story, bro.
I didn't hear that one.
So I work on a farm part time, and it's in Queenstown, and we have to feed the friggin' sheep every day. I hate the sheep. They are stinky, nasty bastards. But
and they hate you.
yes, they're pregnant right now, so they're getting ready to lamb and stuff. So I got a pretty good story about that if you want to hear it.
I do.
Okay, so Jamie is my kid's father-in-law, my oldest boy's father-in-law, and Jamie was the farm manager. He just retired about 6 months ago. My son took over, the one that works at 38 down in Annapolis. So I have a video of it somewhere. I don't know, but so Jamie, one of the ewes was having a lamb, and the damn thing got hung up in her. Probably turned around or whatever, and so she was laying there. So I'm videoing this because he's sticking his hand up her ass, trying to get her to turn around to get the thing coming out. It's totally nasty. You guys know we've delivered babies and stuff, and all this fluids just flooding out of her and everything. Ugh. Well, the damn ewe lays her head on the electric fence and shocks the shit out of Jamie. Oh my God. His hand was in his, he's screaming and hollering. But I got it on video. It was pretty cool. Lucky it didn't kill him.
That's it. There's a good lesson in situational awareness in that.
Right. Good point. Oh man.
That's great.
My friggin', you made me talk too much. My friggin' root beer float's melting.
So I didn't hear the first part of what was discussed. What'd you guys go over initially?
Oral resume.
Yeah.
Pretty much that. It didn't get really interesting until Scotty started talking about sheep and electric fences. So I mean, and we're early in the show, so I mean, hey, it can go anywhere from here.
Oh my God.
Scotty, you weren't connected with any of that incident yesterday, were you? Down in Dagsboro?
Oh no. So I work at Station 26 up in Glenboro. Oh, that's right, Mike. You weren't. So I work at 26 up on Crane Highway.
Okay.
In Arundel. And
that's right. So because you were at Salisbury.
Yeah. And they shit canned me. Actually, they did not. I was full time. They bumped me back when the Safer grant ran out. They didn't staff it, or they didn't fund those positions. So they bumped me back to part time. And the only reason I left Salisbury, I love those guys. I loved working there. They get some fires down there. For as small as that place is, they run some fires, and I love it. No, I'm not there anymore. I regret it. The only thing is, I probably wouldn't have made as much money as I have with Anne Arundel. Salisbury, those guys take a beating and they don't get paid very well. But they're some good guys, man. I'm not kidding. It's like Baltimore City condensed.
Yeah.
You know, it's exactly like Baltimore City. They have everything: rail, marine, industrial. You know, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, they do. They do.
So I missed out on that. I saw some photos. I didn't even know about it, actually. I was on the friggin' medic unit yesterday. So we were standing at the hospital all day long. You know, we were just busy in the hospitals. So looked like a good call, though.
So what type of role are you playing? Are you playing any as far as a training role up in Anne Arundel now?
No, not at all. I
know you guys covered this prior to me coming on.
Well, sort of, kind of, yeah. It's all right, man. I'm just a backstep firefighter. I honestly, that's really all I kind of want to do. I wouldn't mind maybe becoming a lieutenant there, maybe, but I don't know if I even want the stress of being a friggin' lieutenant.
I wish I could convey how many times, and I say that because I'm one of them.
Mm-hmm.
I've run into so many great firemen, firefighters. Let me say that. Not only in Baltimore, but down here in Ocean City and in other areas. and they say the same thing. And I'm wondering what all the reasons for that statement are, because
we're idiots.
Well, but we are. But
No.
there's much more to it that should plant a lot of red flags. When you see great firefighters, knowledgeable ones that say, I have no interest in being in charge of anybody in this department. That's a powerful statement to make, especially in departments that are respected departments.
Yeah.
And there's, it should be delved into, because I think that is a huge problem for administrations and managements and departments when you have good firemen saying that. It shouldn't be something that's just kind of swept under a rug, but I hear it more and more and more. And man, that's a topic that probably has as many layers as an onion, but deadly.
So my everything I do is for basically immature reasons. I mean, honestly, seriously, they're for childish reasons. I wanted to be a lieutenant so I could go inside, kind of run my call a little bit on my own and all that stuff. That's all I ever wanted to be as a lieutenant. Being a battalion chief, it was cool. Status-wise, it was kind of neat. You know, you go to other states or you go wherever and, you know, everybody's like bucking up to you and all like this, but that's not a big deal. I really didn't care about all that stuff. Just it wasn't fun in the buggy. You missed this. So I wasn't a part of the crew when I was in the buggy.
Right.
Like you lose your crew integrity a little bit. I like being with the people, guys and girls, whoever. I like being with those people in the field, and in that it's not lonely. I want to say it's kind of lonely in the buggy because you're by yourself. But you are not a part of the crew anymore. You're a part of the shift, and I never had to be like being in charge. I wasn't some like chest beater or something, so I didn't. Being in charge, I don't really have to tell people what to do. And most of your people know what they're doing anyway. It kind of almost runs itself a little bit. You might be a little bit of a Arthur Fiedler or whatever, Boston Pops dude, a conductor, but conducting the orchestra, maybe. I don't know. I feel like I fucked up more shit than helped it. I don't know. In that position, in the upper level, I think I help more people right this second. Like right now at 26 on that medic unit, and I know everybody hates these guys, especially young boys. They think they're all going to be super firefighters and all this shit, but we hate that medic unit. I don't really hate it. There's nurses at the hospital, so I mean that's a plus. So you have to look. I know that sounds ridiculous, and it is ridiculous, but you have to find the good in the bad. It is bad to be on the medic unit. People are abusing the hell out of us. The society, we don't. My dad used to take. I'd fall on my skateboard, and he'd take a military butterfly in either methylate or mercurochrome, and I had lacerations that most people would go to the hospital think your head's cut off. He would say, "Get the fuck back outside and play," after he's patched me up. And I feel like we're a bunch of pussies, sort of. The society, a little bit. We're beating these hospitals up when we don't belong going to the hospitals.
Absolutely.
Oh my God, we're abusing the hospital and the services, our services, and the police officer services and stuff. We're definitely abusing the services, but I think it's a societal thing where just people are leaning on that. They have no business going for the flu, have no business going to the hospital where we take them all the time. And that's my job, and I take them, and I'm nice to them, and we take good care of them. But they don't need to go. And you know, and then the first person you talk out of it, then the next thing you know, they croak or something. But we're so it's such a litigious society now, and we're so afraid as a department, as a fire at the fire service in general, the police the police service in general. I think he's gone. I think we're so litigious these days that we're scared to death of not doing something and stuff. I don't know.
No, I think you're right, Scotty. And the big picture is too that, you know, I used to watch, and I was probably one of it one time that would get pissed off when you got a call, or you know, you had your 3 a.m. attitude. Okay, you're 15th drunk of the night, and like you said, if you don't treat them the same way you treated the first one, and they're the ones who actually had a medical emergency, then you know, it's bad for everybody. But you know, at the end of the day, you're getting paid the same whether or not you run that call or not. And that's what we're there for. We're to run the calls. It's not like the garbage man is going to do it. It's not like Public Works is going to come and tote somebody to the hospital. So you know what? Get out there, do the job. And that's one of the things, just to be able to, like, and I've seen you do it a million times, that you've got the same attitude at 3 a.m. that you do at 3 p.m. And that's something, again, to pass that along to some of these younger folks coming up, to say, hey man, look, sometimes you just got to embrace the suck and roll with it, you know.
Don't get me wrong. I'm tired. Like at 3 o'clock this morning or whatever time we were out, I'm exhausted and it's hard. But I'm not going to treat people mean, man, unless they are coming at me, like unless they need to be thumped or something. I'm just not going to do it. I'm just going to be nice to people. I feel like being nice is better. Like you get further with being nice. It sounds ridiculous, but it's the truth. You know, whatever. I love the job. I don't even know what else to say. I love the job. I've always loved the job. I wanted to do it since I was friggin' in diapers, probably. So.
Yeah, and I got to agree with you. I think that if you had to pick one position in the department, it's probably lieutenant, because you're right in that sweet spot where you're still part of the crew. You kind of run your own ship. You can influence operations, and you know you're not mired down by the buggy. And I still remember a story I was told years and years and years ago. You know, when I was like, hey, you know, what do I got to do? What track to advance, be a lieutenant? And and this goes back obviously to our earlier days, because we're old enough to remember it. But they talk about that tailboard fireman riding on the tailboard for a couple of years, and he peeks around the corner and in the side view mirror sees the driver. It's like, man, that guy's up in the cab. He's wheeling this engine, through intersections. He's driving fast. He's, blowing the horn. He's in control of this piece of apparatus. Man, that's where I want to be one day. And the guy studies up, takes his exams, his training, everything else. A couple of years later, he's up there, wheeling the engine, and he's there for a couple of years. And then the next thing you know, he keeps looking over at the officer and said, man, look at that dude, man. He's in charge of this shift. He's in charge of this crew. He's calling the shots. He's on the radio. He's blowing the air horn. Man, that's where I want to be. Guy studies up, goes through some training, puts his time in. A couple of years later, he's riding the right front seat. And then, that same guy, a couple of years later, going on a call, he looks in his side view mirror. He sees the battalion chief in the buggy behind him. Man, that guy's got the world by the ass, man. He's driving his own vehicle. He's in charge of, he's citywide. He's in charge of the whole shift. Yep. And, he's in command of the calls when we get on the scene. That's where I want to be. And, again, studies up, goes through his classes, promotes up. And, there he is riding the battalion buggy. He's got 20 some years on the job. And he's pulling out behind an engine going to a call. And he sees that fireman on the back step, goes, man, look at that guy. He's got the world by the ass. He's a backstep fireman. That's where I want to be. I think it goes full circle. It really does.
I don't know. We were idiots. I don't even know how the hell we survived that freaking tailboard. I love riding on a tailboard, but that is the most idiotic thing we've ever done, man. Jesus. We've lost that.
Ride the tailboard. We used to stand up in the jump seats. I mean, that's probably why we can't hear today, because of that. Half of that stuff, bugs hitting you in the face over top of the over top of the cab.
God, we were idiots. Oh,
but it was fun.
Has gotten better. It has, safety wise, and just not breathing smoke and stuff. I tell my boy all the time, do not breathe that shit. Even if it's a bullshit call, try to keep your face piece on and stuff. I know I know everybody wants to be some cool thing, but man, I'm telling you, we're dying from this stuff. I don't know why I don't have this shit yet. Some of my young guys have died from cancer.
Oh yeah, I mean it's prevalent. But what's for your other son who's in the Navy? Because Bobby McGee obviously couldn't be on tonight, but that's how he started his fire service career. He was a damage controlman. But
Right.
what's the philosophy? Does your son talk to you about that? Like, what's their philosophy with stuff as damage control firefighters in the Navy versus on the civilian side? I mean, do they share kind of our mindset and that growth, or are they totally different?
So honestly, I haven't really talked to him a whole hell of a lot about it. He's getting ready so his time is up on this destroyer. They were going to make him a friggin' recruiter. And I was like, ugh, that sucks. You're not a used car salesman. So I think what he's going to do, sounds like he wants to go something called active reserves. So he's still active duty, but he's active duty reserve or something. And I think they have to put more time in than an actual reservist does or whatever, but he's going to do that. And I think he's going to try to go with NDW or whatever, but they do. Yeah. Their mindset, I think, is similar. They do the same stuff. They have the same equipment. It's not like the old Chemox mask that my dad was also a damage controlman on an LST. He actually saved a few people down in Jacksonville, Florida, where my kid's at now. It wasn't at the same exact place, but I think my kid may be in Mayport. And is that a thing? Yeah, Mayport. And they transferred. So he's on the USS Mason. The Mason was their home port was Norfolk. For some reason, I guess they saw fit to change their port. They had to change their port or something. So they sent them down to Jacksonville in Mayport Naval Station or whatever it's called. So they wear the same stuff we do. They wear like the old 660Cs, I think, or bullet. They're wearing something like that helmet. Obviously, they're not going to wear the traditional stuff. It probably wouldn't work out on the ships because I mean, some of the spaces are tiny. But they're wearing. I can't remember if they're using Scots on his ship, but they're wearing regular structural gear on the ship mostly, and then they also have, I believe, they have 2 Blackhawks that go on that go in the aft end of that ship, in the stern of the ship. So they also have to do some aircraft ARF stuff, the aircraft firefighting stuff, and I think they also train with the Illuminized stuff also. Nah, he hadn't really talked to me about a lot of philosophy with that. So
yeah, I was just kind of curious because, like you said, we used to do a lot of. Well, at the time, we didn't think it was stupid shit. I mean, it was monkey see, monkey do. The senior guys showed us nothing really bad seemed to happen to them, at least at the time. We emulated it, and it was a lot of fun. I mean, it was great riding the back step. It was great standing up on the jump seat, and then you were pissed when you had to put the man saver bar behind you or strap in, and wrap your wrist around, and and then when it was raining or snowing or anything else, and you hit those big bumps, and you knew when they were coming up at certain intersections, and you just held on a little tighter. But I think that's something that again we survived it. We have the stories to tell about it, but it's also good to see some of the changes that have happened. And but that's again, Scotty, that's we got probably 1.5 million stories you could tell on stuff, but it's just one of those things. It's like you've always been able to maintain that level in the fire service and kind of go. You've always been you, but you've always been able to get right to that line, and,
right.
Which I'm like, holy shit, this guy's a battalion chief, this guy's a lieutenant, not in a bad way, because I mean,
I hadn't heard that before.
You earned every bit of it, but it's like I think that's where some of the respect came in too from the crew members to say, look, Scotty Baer is going to be Scotty Baer. It's not like there's not Lieutenant Baer or Battalion Chief Baer. Hey, this is Scotty Baer. Whatever color helmet he's wearing today is inconsequential,
Yeah. I just like.
So how the hell did you keep yourself out of trouble all those years?
I didn't. I almost got fired a couple times. So before I forget, we were talking about the lieutenant being, probably the cooler job. I will say, don't downplay the tillerman though. The tillerman on those tiller trucks. I love being the tillerman on that 68 Seagrave, that open cab truck. I loved it. It was that I wish the truck was still. They pieced it out, and one of the guys bought the tractor end of it. The other one took the ladder and I think Raymond Aaron took the ladder and took it to Graysonville and put it on top of their rear mount and stuff. So it kind of sucked because I didn't have the money back then, but now I probably could afford to buy that damn thing. And I'd love to have that truck. And I'm not one of those fire truck guys, but that was my favorite piece. It still is to this day. That's my favorite piece. We just got an aeroscope that it's kind of cool, but it's still not a tiller truck. So, did I get off base again? I'm always getting off base. Jesus.
Part of your charm.
Yeah, I suck. Good God. What else we doing?
Now, Mike, are you on a tiller now?
We're back and forth. We got a mid mount right now that we're driving, but when it was out, which it was out for a few months, we did have a tiller in and out of there. So I can align myself with that. It's a cool job being a tillerman.
Yeah.
For sure. It definitely is. And we've been trying to lock down a scope. So,
okay.
Now I've never driven one, but
yeah,
it looks like a cool piece of apparatus.
It's okay. We're just learning. Matter of fact, I pulled it out yesterday, and I'm not an operator. I don't not for Anne Arundel anyway. So I've never driven a scope. So I pulled it out, but we do have to operate the bucket, and I want to be proficient at it and know how to do that. So the guys, we all get in it and fool with it. It'll be in service probably. I'm thinking it was supposed to be in service now, but I'm thinking it's probably going to be more like around the 1st of March or something. It looks like, maybe. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
it's cool though. It has some uses that some of the other apparatus, just like anything else, that they all have their some pluses and negatives.
Right. Yeah, and I know Baltimore has been in the market for some additional towers or scopes, tower ladders. Since our line of duty deaths, it's been something that they've been, searching pretty aggressively for, in order to, just be a little bit more dynamic on these fire grounds with major incidents. And those tower ladders allow for that, especially a scope. Like you said, it offers tactically some more advantages on certain types of incidents.
Yeah.
But it's a hard market out there right now because every department is short in their fleets. So they are gobbling up anything and everything they can find. And, unfortunately, a lot of the departments that are getting rid of apparatus, there's a reason why.
Yeah.
And it's getting bought up for top dollar.
Yeah.
So, fire departments, be it volunteer or career, have now become used car salesmen too. So we're playing our hand in everything. It seems to be that we're focusing a lot more on being politicians and, all these other little nuances than actually becoming better at our trade.
Right. Good God. Master.
I figure you bust out I can't say it like you do, Sky, a great ass.
Great ass.
There it is. Oh, hey, you need to start a series of children's books called Scotty Baer's Barnyard Adventures.
Yeah. It'd be freaking X-rated, man. I couldn't send that to the
I'm not going to be able to sleep tonight thinking about that electric fence and that sheep now. That image is just burned in my freaking head now.
Jesus Christ, man. That was one of the funniest things.
And you just probably call that Tuesday, don't you?
Yeah. Oh, man, that's crazy. Waples. I wonder if he's watching. He let me down.
Well, like I say, he's celebrating his 40th, but I guarantee he'll hop on here. But what pearls of wisdom you have for young Benifer?
So we were working together at 3, and my kid, my youngest, the one that's in the Navy, little shithead, the Navy turned him around, man. I thought he was going to go down a bad path, but he went to boot camp up there, and he like did really well. I was so happy about that. So Alex was down at Ocean City during senior week, and I was like, man, I talked to his mother. I said, man, I think this is not cool and all that stuff. And we both were probably the same way. We didn't think it was cool, but she's trying to cut him loose a little bit and all that. So he's down there, and he's in 3's area. So, I mean, like right across the street somewhere. I can't remember exactly which place, but so me and Ben go over there, and we take the ambulance over there, and we park it down the street, and we walk up, and we pound on the door and said, "Open up, it's an OCPD," or whatever. We were acting like we were the police, and holy shit, they didn't even believe us. So these young kids, they don't have any respect for shit, man. So it was a whole bunch of boys in there and stuff. Probably 10 people in there, but they were in there carrying on and stuff. Actually, they weren't doing anything really wrong. But we snuck up on him and stuff, and I think he was surprised.
Oh my God!
I had a lot of good times with you all, especially like during that hurricane. That was a little scary. I thought it was going to be worse than it was, but I don't remember which named storm it was. But that was fun. It was fun.
Yeah, we did have a good time. It's so funny because I've got a relatively young workforce where I am, and a bunch of great people. I mean, I'd say 99.9% of them are pretty squared away. They're good people. They like to come in. They enjoy the job. I wish they had people like you and Bobby and Mike and some of the others down there to kind of influence them, good and bad. But just to kind of and they'll ask from time to time, and of course, I'll be the old guy telling some stories every now and then. But you have the knucklehead that's going to do something off duty, and of course, wearing his fire department I belong T-shirt. It's like, dude, look, if you're going to fuck up, don't do it in one of our T-shirts,
Right.
But I still remember that guy. I tell him about this all the time. I can't remember the guy's name, but we called him Cornholio. But he was in his Ocean City Fire Department T-shirt. He was one of our summer help guys one year. And he was renting a place down like 28th Street, 26th Street, something like that. And, they're having a kegger up on the second floor balcony of this whatever apartment he's staying in. And, nature calls. He's taking a leak between the balcony railings. And here comes, you reminded me when you said it, here comes OCPD. And they're like, hey, dude, they're trying to shut him down without having to do something about it. And he's like, oh, he's flipping them off. Oh, I'm a fireman here. Like, okay, great. So, that's when you're in the buggy and you get that phone call from the shift sergeant. Hey, do you know this guy? Yeah. Is he one of yours? Yeah. Well, you might want to come down here and talk to him because he's getting ready to go to jail. Yeah. So,
oh my God.
But I'm glad at least your son, you weren't the real police down there. So
right.
They weren't messing up too bad.
Good God.
Well, the smarter police, when you break out the whole "I'm a fireman," usually just stop talking. A smart cop will just go ahead and tell you to turn around and put your hands behind your back when you tell them you're a fireman.
I have never done that in my life.
Right. Go ahead and protect the rest of the city that night and lock them up, man.
Oh my God. Yeah, we all of us have that guy, but you're right. As soon as you start spouting off, and you'll appreciate this, Scotty. I was this has probably been, oh gosh, I don't know, 8 months ago or so, and I was out grabbing some dinner. As actually after a training night, I just got done doing some teaching, and I didn't have anything on. Nothing that said I belong. And there's this young kid. You can tell he's enamored about being a fireman, right? And he had on his I belong T-shirt, not like an official uniform shirt, but like a morale shirt type thing. And he gets talking, and he's like. So within the next 5 minutes, and he's just talking to anybody who would listen to him. I knew his name, what station he worked for, what calls he ran in the last 24 hours, and the guy's getting drunker and drunker. Not being a bad guy, just and then some big hulking dude comes in with his fiance or his wife.
Oh no!
And she could have been like a Victoria's Secret model, and he's like, "Hey, darling, you want a drink?" And hey, and he's like, "Oh boy, here we go. This guy's going to get clocked." And
Right.
then he's like, "Hey, yeah." And some other guys got talking to him at the bar. Yeah, I'll meet you up there. And he is like in no position to drive. And I'm like, okay. And the guy's a probie, and the department he was with probably like about a year before had a guy get all banged up, got into an MVC, killed somebody, messed some other people up. Like, oh, this is going downhill. So he's like, oh yeah, I was just. He's not even talking to me. He's like, oh yeah, I was in the academy, and hey, bro, what do you do? I'm like, I'm retired, man. Which it was partially true. I've retired once, but so he's going all this shit. He's getting ready to drive and everything else, and he's like, oh yeah, my FTO, my instructor at the academy. Well, I know his instructor really, really well.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, this is getting ready to go from sugar to shit real quick. This kid's obviously proud to be a fireman. I'd love to see him have a nice, full, long career. There's no need for his chief to get into this or him to fuck up and in tomorrow morning's news feed that XYZ fire department firefighter waffles 6 people. So I texted his instructor and I said, hey, do you know this kid? He goes, yeah. I said, are you working tonight? He goes, yeah, I'm right down the street. I'm like, can you come pick him up? I see the engine turn around, like park like 2 doors down behind this bodega, and the instructor like texts me back and he goes, "Hey, walk him outside." I'm like, "Hey, bud, let's go outside and get some air real quick." "Oh yeah, F yeah, let's go." Walk out, and there's his the instructor's lieutenant also. He goes, and it's like not another word said. His lieutenant's just like, "Give me your keys. You're going to call an Uber right now. You're going home right now." And see that big guy that you're pissing off, and it wasn't me. It's like the big guy with the Victoria's Secret model girlfriend. He goes, see that big guy over there? Wish him a good night, and you need to go home now. And it's like, you know what? That's the best possible thing that probably could ever happen to that kid because he didn't get in trouble. I mean, he probably had to scrub every toilet in the freaking fire station the next day he went in. But it was one of those lessons learned, man. It's like, have fun, but make sure that don't bring your crew, your department, anybody else into disrespect because you got to respect the industry, you got to respect the job, respect the people on it. And this kid was going down a bad path, but it's like just like that. I'm hoping that one day down the road when he's maybe in charge of a crew and sees one of his younger folks kind of going on a bad path, just like you're talking about there, that he goes handles it kind of a different way. And I'm not saying it was right or wrong the way it was handled, but the good thing was no harm, no foul, and it went nowhere else but that. But it's just one of those things where you look back in your own career and go, wow, there's some people who kind of saved my ass more than one time. When I wasn't doing right, or when I was going down a not a good path, and you kind of want to pass those things along too.
Yeah,
definitely. It looks like you're reminiscing there a little bit, Scotty.
I've been in trouble.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Well, boys, we've hit about the 1 hour mark, so I'm going to go around the horn and wrap it up real quick. And Scotty, I'm going to give you the last word. So, Mike, I'll start with you.
Well, I apologize for not being able to be on the whole thing there, Scotty. I know I missed some pretty cool stories, and hopefully we'll get a chance to do that in private sometime. Off the air.
Private ones are a lot better, I can tell you.
Yeah, that's right. I'm sure. But thanks for being on. And again, I apologize for not catching the whole thing, man.
Yeah.
I wish we had Bobby on here tonight. I know that he would have thrown a bunch of big hitters at you. But great talking, and it's always good to be in the presence of people that are passionate about the job and can speak to a lot of different levels of what the job entails.
I appreciate you guys having me. I don't know if I'm worthy of all that, but I enjoyed it. And you're right. It's nice to throw stuff around at each other, and and not just the bullshit, but I mean, you can. I mean, this is basically like a coffee table, at the firehouse, and you can learn a lot at that coffee table or lunch table or whatever. Oh my God, a lot. Bullshit too, but you can learn a lot about the job and stuff. So yeah, I definitely appreciate this. I was a little nervous, but it wasn't bad. I thought it was going to be like Dean Martin's roast. I thought Trevor was going to bust my balls, but it wasn't too bad.
Nah, I wouldn't do that to you live on the air. That's like Mike said, that's an in-person thing,
Right. Yeah.
Go down memory lane a little bit. But any final thoughts there, Scotty, before we wrap up?
No, I think anybody out there that's listening that's in the fire service, just need to be safe. Just be careful, and watch each other's backs. Sometimes we're our own. Oh my God, we're our own worst enemies. Sometimes we're. I don't know if we're trying to cut each other's throats or whatever, but sometimes we're our own worst enemies, and we need to look out for each other because nobody else is going to look out for us. So, and need to be careful. So
absolutely, brother. Well said. And Scotty, thanks for coming on tonight and sharing some of your wisdom and wit with everybody. And world of respect for you, brother.
Yeah.
And enjoyed every bit of working with you. And still the fact that you're a fireman's fireman goes a long way. But with that being said, man, stay in touch. Glad you're still on the job. Glad you're still reaching out to everybody in our industry and passing those things along. But we're going to wrap up Thirsty Thursday 51 with Scotty Baer. He is available for birthday parties, bar mitzvahs, children's parties. And please check out his new kids book, The Barnyard Adventures by Scotty Baer. So I wouldn't look at the pictures, but hey, that's a good thing. But we appreciate you all tuning in. And we'll come back for Thirsty Thursday number 52. Ben's going to be putting that out pretty soon. And like anything else, reach out to us because we've been blessed to have a lot of people on the show that are a world of knowledge and like to share that knowledge. So with that, everybody, cheers. Be safe.
Cheers. I got my gray sweatpants on just to let you guys know too.
You're what?
I have my gray sweatpants on just to let you all know.
Oh, and I guarantee you're free balling too, aren't you?
See you guys.
See you, bro.
How do I sign off on this thing?
You just did.
All right.